Hey, David, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I actually want to tell everybody thanks for waiting or being patient. If you're not here just yet, I see Tony. She showed up. It's been a little while since we've been able to get together. I'm gonna play one more video real quick so I can go grab my cup of coffee. Everybody, enjoy or go grab a cup of coffee. Turn up the music. You'll like it. So if you guys haven't seen it before, I hope you take a second and enjoy it. That's the car show. Some mornings, they like to wake up and have a car show. Today in Stockton, they're actually having coffee and a car show. So if you go over to we have a big bowling alley out here, and they got a big parking lot. So everybody's doing that this morning. But for me, I like Volkswagens. If you didn't notice, there is a ton of Volkswagens in there, David. I think there might be too many to count, but I tried to find every NFL team with a Volkswagen. Folks, some of those punch buggy Volkswagens are a little bit, older, and some of the younger folks, they might not know about it, but there's a lot of fun things that you can do with the Volkswagen. And I tell you what, they were the most expensive car in the world, and they weren't too hard to work on. So sometimes people would do something cool or creative with like a fancy paint job or something. So if you notice, there was a lot of different teams in there that did have a logo on it. And I just think that's as a fan, who's passionate about my 49ers, my bus is currently gray and white because it's primer, but it's a red and white bus. So you get my vibes. There's definitely gonna be a Niner decal emblem on it. David, how you feeling?
I'm good, buddy. Been a minute since we hopped on, but life, right? So, and honestly, it's just a good Sunday. It's starting to get hot out here. So, I'm glad the AC in my vehicles works great. Yep.
Well, see, that's the thing too. With some Volkswagens, they don't have AC. So some of those things, you roll the windows down, you try to go 55, two windows down, going 55. That's your AC, right? Well, you'd be lucky to go 55 in some of those. But hey, David, we've been talking, and it's been a while. Yeah, you're right. It's been a little bit of time since we jumped on. We do this on the weekends, and I just wanted to kind of let everybody know too. It is the thing about life. And life comes and goes, and adjustments happen, and so do schedules. So keep your notifications on, because when there is a schedule break, I'll be jumping on. I'll be notifying my good buddy David here, and hopefully we will be jumping on together. Now, hey, again, if life happens and you see David somewhere else, it's not like you found a new Batman, folks, okay? Or I found a new Robin or anything like that. It just means sometimes you can't always make it. So when we do get together, yeah, it's going to be like, I don't know, like Woodstock or some kind of big concert out there, so we're going to make it a big event, of course, because this has been something that's happened for almost 2 years now regularly. And I'd like to continue it to happen, but it just now my schedule's changing. So it might be an early morning coffee talk or a late evening edition. And some people, my family in particular, they drink coffee at night. It doesn't really keep them awake. It just is something to, I don't know, maybe enjoy and loosen up the evening, or I don't know. So David, are you one of those guys? Would you be able to have a cup of coffee with me at nighttime?
At nighttime, probably not.
Probably not.
I'll still come out and hang out though.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, like some people, they can do it. They can wake up in the morning, they can crack them open a beer, and they can work all day, right? Some people, they're like, oh, I need to have that at nighttime. Some people, if they drink a beer at nighttime, it's too much on their belly when they go to sleep. So it's like, you got to find your medium. And, same thing with coffee. For me, I actually stopped drinking coffee for a long time. I completely just stopped drinking coffee, cold turkey like. And everybody around my family, because they're such coffee drinkers, it was just it wasn't hard to get used to or hard to get out of my system or anything. But I worked in a gas station, coffee was there all the time. I worked in an oil shop, coffee was there all the time. It's like I come home, coffee was there, and I was getting heartburn really bad. And sometimes you get heartburn because maybe you're nervous, maybe it's too much acid, maybe there's just a lot of different things. So try a little bit less sugar, maybe a little bit less milk. Try drinking my coffee black. That wasn't too bad, and I'm not opposed to it. It is funny. Have you ever heard about those people who drink the coffee with the mayonnaise?
I've heard about it, but it's something I will not try.
Well, I won't try everything. I will not try everything, but I tried it. And you know what, David? I believe, if I'm correct, our current quarterback drinks coffee with mayonnaise. And I think he eats the banana peel too, but that's a whole different subject and story. But it's not that bad. And, it's a little bit thicker like cream. So I don't know. I mean, like in a doubt, in a pinch, did you know you can also use mayonnaise when you're grilling a grilled cheese sandwich up?
You can.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner. It's so if you don't want to put a lot of oil or too much in the pan, you can use a little bit of mayonnaise on the outside and throw it in the pan and fry it up. It's a different texture. It still comes out golden, just a little bit different. So, folks, we could sit here and talk a lot about food all day long, but the coffee talk will continue, and that's my point. It just might not be every Sunday or every Saturday. It might be, again, you just have to have those notifications on. Thank you, Bebop, for coming through. Don Dotson and Tony, you guys are all wonderful, just straight wonderful. So, David, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the schedule. I know you've talked to just about.
Sorry, I just had to turn the noise down there.
That's okay. You ever hear yourself talk back? You're like, is that really me? And yeah, that's you. And I guess I don't know if everybody has that reaction.
Dude, I hear my voice and I'm like, do I actually sound like that? I asked a couple of my friends, do I actually sound like that? And they're like, yeah, you do. I was like, oh.
What do you do? I mean, like you can't change your voice or anything like that, So I don't know. Just try to stand up as straight as I can when I talk, I guess. Maybe it sound a little bit better. I don't know. But David, I know we've had a schedule drop and we've had a couple other things. And I would like to actually tell you before we get into the schedule drop, there's been a little bit of, and we're not too political here on the channel, but we do talk about world events and current things sometimes. And well, there's been a couple things that's happened. So Jerry Seinfeld, he went to Duke University and he got to give what is that college speech, at the end when everybody's getting their graduation. I'm lost for words right now, but he give the honorary, the graduating class a speech, and he let them know, hey, when you tell them that you came from Duke, stand up and be proud of where you came from. And if you guys get a chance, go check out Jerry Seinfeld's speech. It's really, really great. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but what his point is back in the days, like people were proud that they went to Harvard, or they were proud that they went to UOP, or they were proud that they went to Utah, and you should still be proud. And if something happens or whatever, you should still be proud of where you go and where you go to school and what you are and who you are. So being proud of who you are and what you are. And I know there's a lot of he's and what's and she's and says, and we can buy a vowel, and we'll just keep it as fun like that. If you have I don't know, maybe if you think you're supposed to be something different than you were born, or you are struggling to find out, hey, that's fine. Everybody, that's fine. That's completely fine. But, and this is my thoughts. And if I get shut down, hey, and you and me don't see David anymore together, that's why. But I don't think it's right that men compete in women's sports or women compete in men's sports. I don't think so. And I don't think if you're gender opposed, or if you're gender undecided, or if you were born a man but you believe you're a woman, but you have men, you're a man, you're a body, your body's a man, I don't think you should be competing. I think, there's other things you can do. You can write a book, you can do all kinds of other stuff. You can still love the sport. Maybe you can commentate, maybe you can do like what we're doing here and talk about the sport. But I think there's certain things, I think it's just unfair. Now, there's some things that everybody can compete against. It's nothing physical about it. It's all mental. Maybe go be a race car driver. I don't know. There's a lot of things out there, but there's some things that you just shouldn't. I don't know. If you're a better basketball player than a guy, hey, great. But there are really good women basketball players, and there are really good basketball players that are men that don't want to play against each other. And why? Because it's a men versus men or women's versus women. Now, if they want to form a co-ed league and they want to do, more power to you. But my point, so people understand where Bryant's coming from, and this is only Bryant. The thoughts and things that have been said on Bryant's channel is affiliated only by Bryant and not sponsored by David. David is David has his own opinion. Everybody knows that. So with this, we have a NFL kicker that's come out, and he was also able to give a speech. And the NFL Super Bowl kicker, the Kansas City Chiefs kicker, Butker, he came out, and I don't think what he said was that bad. And if you guys want, go check out what he said. He also gave a speech at a college graduation, and basically, be proud of what you are. If you're a mom, be proud that you're a mom. Be proud that you can be a mom. Be proud that you can be a dad. And some people didn't like what he said. And, I'm not going to say exactly what he said. It's his words. You should go and listen to it. But basically, I agree. Be proud. If you don't want to be a mom, don't be a mom. But guess what? David, can you be a mom? Do you have the ability at all to be a mom? But if you did, would you be proud of it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's part of the thing. That's your club. No one else can enter because it's like, as much as you try, you can kick and scream and you can throw a tantrum, but you just can't have a baby. You can have a baby with a lady, but you can't physically do it on your own, right? And nor can the lady. The lady needs a donor, right? She needs somebody to help her along the way, but we're not the one growing the baby. So if you want to be a mom, be a mom. Be proud that you're be a mom, but don't be embarrassed that you're a mom, or don't be embarrassed that you're not a mom and you're a woman. But it kind of comes and goes. It's like there's certain things that you should be happy. Like David, I wear glasses, right? So I'm the best at I can be wearing glasses, right? I don't know any other difference. I don't know any other life. I'm Bryant. I'm a man and I'm a dad, and that's all I know. So that's what I'm going to do the best at trying to be, is just being me. So again, it's like, I'm not saying anybody else is doing anything wrong, but what he basically said was, be proud of what you are. Be proud to embrace what you are. So if you are, what's wrong with that? Right? What's wrong with that? If you're a mom, why are you being put down or made feel like, oh, you got to be no, it's not anything horrible. It's not behind every great man, there's a great lady. Behind every good man, there's a mom that was there to help support him. She birthed him, right? The same thing. So it's like everybody has a role in there, and not everybody has to be. You don't have to be just a mom. You can be a mom and something else. You can be something else. It doesn't mean that's all you are. But if you are a mom, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? There's nothing embarrassing to that. Being a dad, there's nothing embarrassing being a dad. There's nothing embarrassing being a brother. For some people out there, or a sister, they can't have children. So they're great aunts and uncles, and they do what they can do. And some people honestly have too many kids and they should not have kids. And maybe their kids should be taken from them. Let's just be honest. You just don't take care of your kids the right way, and you just keep having kids, and that's not necessarily the right way to bring anybody into the world. If you don't have really enough time for somebody, then why are you going to continue to have babies, put a strain on the society? Just because you can produce doesn't mean you should produce, right? So that's my thoughts. But what my point is this kicker, he came out and said his thoughts, and now a lot of people are getting behind him, and they don't like him, burn him down, and kick him out of the NFL. Well, maybe that's because society has become so small because social everything that's happened with the internet, everything with social networking, everything that's happened with just technology in general has made the world smaller. So if I say something over here in Stockton, David, you can hear it, and people in Australia can hear it, and people, in England can hear it. So Butker said this, and it's been heard around the world. Some people like it, some people don't. Well, you know what? His jersey is now the number one selling jersey in America. A kicker. A kicker is the number one selling jersey in America. Yes, folks. So go out, go get your Jake Moody jersey, go get your Butker jersey, go get whatever you want, because special teams matter. They mattered in our Super Bowl. If we would have had a better Super Bowl special teams performance, we would have had a Super Bowl ring. So, David, I want to give it to you. I've had enough time to rant. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee, a sip of my coffee now, but I just want everybody to be proud of who they are, be thankful that they're alive. Remember, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed the rest of the day. We are blessed every day and if you don't believe in God, that's fine. Buddha, whoever, we are still really, it's just a great experience to be alive. So David, thank you again for being my co-host. I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm going to take a sip of the coffee while I listen to you.
Well, lately it's been a little crazy. Life changes. We had Mother's Day come and go, folks, and I hope y'all, wish your mother a happy Mother's Day and went and got the chance to spend time with her. Some of us are not lucky enough to be able to do that, and for whatever reason, you don't live close to her. She's no longer with us, which, that's unfortunate. And, family, it's all about family. Like, I'm in September, my fishing buddy moves back, and my IT specialist. So I'm looking forward to getting my daughter back. And actually, I have to go pick her up from the airport next week. I scheduled the day off work because of how late she gets here. But I got to go pick her up. So I'm looking forward to that. Did you know last time I went to go pick her up, Beto was on with Rudy.
Yeah. I think you said you had swung around the airport a couple of times to
quite a few times listening to those two go at it, And then when I picked her up, they were still talking, and she's like, and she listened to it for a minute, and she's like, "What the heck is going on here?" I was just like, well, you got my guy Beto, and you got Rudy, the guy that he's a Niner hater. So, these two are together on a show right now. So kind of what do you expect, right? And my daughter's like, yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's just hate. It's just hate, and I gotta mute my camera for a second, but it's just hate. So just a second. I got a special guest.
Uh-oh. Is it the future 49er kicker, folks? Murphy. Could it be? Or, the schedule drop. Like, how does everybody feel? Now, say it in the comments what you think our overall record's going to be. If you want to name who we're going to lose to, go ahead. Why not? But, yeah, just say it in the comments. How do you feel we're going to do this season? Because, yeah, our schedule's the number one schedule. I honestly don't think it's any more brutal than last year's schedule was. Ooh, Bebop with the 18-0. And And this year I was actually looking at other teams and their schedules. We do not have the hardest schedule this year. We don't. I looked at the NFC East and all the teams those teams are playing. That's going to be an interesting saga to watch, Bryant, because they play the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers. They play that division on top of beating up on themselves. And it's just like I was looking at them going, wow, these guys might have like 2 gimmies during the course of the season. That's all they have, just 2. The rest of the games are full on. They could win them, they could lose them. And it doesn't matter what team in the NFC East I'm talking about, all of them. And that's that's just it's interesting. I was looking at that yesterday. I was actually talking to my guy Damian Lee on the phone, and we were going over the Cowboys schedule and the Eagles, and I was like, wow, these guys have like some seriously tough schedules. But what is it about the NFC East that keeps things interesting though, Bryant?
Every year, not there's a turnover every year. There's not a decided, a repeating champion. There's not a
Right.
Every year, before they give us an extra game, it was, which one's going to win out of the 8-8 teams? And you could almost guarantee there would be 3 teams in the NFC East that would be 8-8.
Yep. Yes, that's what keeps it interesting. There's no repeating champion, and this year, who knows what's going to happen over there? The NFC West, you got the Niners, the Rams are improving. They actually have drastically improved their O-line via free agency, which that's no guarantee. Signing a free agent doesn't mean that they're going to pan out like they did for the team they were playing for. We've seen it more often than not where they don't. But they're, they drafted well last year. We don't know what they drafted like this year because you haven't seen the players on the field yet. But, I honestly look at them like they're a solid number 2 in the division right now. Then you have the Seahawks, who a lot of folks have said have improved, but that's what they said last year. And they ended up with the same schedule and not making the playoffs.
Okay, but let's go back to that. Right? So the Seahawks, just a year ago, about 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody thought they were going to be horrible. And then what happened? Geno Smith, Mr. Gunslinger, comes out and wins a bunch of games and gets them into the playoffs, right? Now, we mollywhopped them in the playoffs, right? That was Purdy's first playoff. It was like, 38 to, it was horrible. Or did we get to the 40s on the Seahawks? But that was ugly for the Seahawks. But they were better than people expected, right? Then this year, what did they do? They were better than people expected. They weren't as good as, but what happened? They had turmoil with Pete Carroll, the undeciding, the hokey pokey. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Is he chewing gum? Is he switching gum? Is it the same piece of gum? So then now we don't have Pete Carroll there anymore. So now are they going to get worse or are they going to get better? Was Pete Carroll like not holding them back? Did he get them to like that point where they can now like explode? Or are they going to now start taking step back because they're going to seriously go in and start doing a rebuild? Because before, when Pete Carroll was there, it was like he was holding everything together, popsicle sticks and glue, and everything was just still right there. You could guarantee the Seahawks were making the playoffs almost every year. And if you had $1 left in your wallet, you could bet that, and you could be pretty confident that you're going to be eating the next day. So it's I don't know, David. I don't think the Seahawks are that far away. I know that the interesting move that they just made was they painted over they took everybody down. The Legion of Boom, all of those guys, they're gone in the tunnel around the stadium. So they're not showing the old regime. They want new faces. And I kind of like that. Like when you walk by the the wall, do you want to see your old face? You know, like or that old employee that you were used to work with, or do you want to see like maybe me, the new guy on the wall, or yourself on the wall? But even if it's yourself, do you want to see yourself 10 years ago, or do you want to see your new face, right? Because that was 10 years ago. You won the Super Bowl 10 years ago. What have you done since then, right? Maybe a little better facial hair, maybe, what I mean? Like, so the same thing. It's like you had a different quarterback there. That quarterback's not even on the team you traded him to. He's now Russell Wilson, what is it, Pittsburgh Steeler now? He's a Pirate now? Or, so you go from one ocean to the other ocean. But I don't think Seattle's that bad.
I don't think they're that bad. But you did forget one thing about Pete Carroll. What flavor of gum was he chewing? Like, we have two Seahawks fans in the chat between Joe Stevens and Eric Wallace. Maybe they can let us know what flavor of gum Pete Carroll chews. But
I always thought it was wintergreen, but Joe might be able to tell us, stay juicy, right? It's juicy fruit, or is it fruit stripe?
Right. Joe's saying it's juicy fruit. But the Seahawks, they have good defensive backs, and I believe they actually drafted another one. So it's like, just stacking players up defensive backs wise, and their front seven still questionable. They don't have Bobby Wagner anymore. He actually went to the Commanders. Their QB situation with Geno, I honestly think he needs speaking of the devil, I honestly believe Geno Smith needs a tattoo on him that says property of the 49ers. Hasn't beat us yet. That's why I say that. I'm going to knock on wood here. But he hasn't beat us yet. So that's why I say that, right? And shout out to David Corona. He's in the chat. That bet's still on, David. You have what is it? 2 more seasons? 2 more seasons till that expires? Yep. We'll see what happens.
Well, let's get into the schedule real quick. Who are we playing first? The preseason, we're playing with the Titans, and I think are we home for the Titans game?
The Titans, I'm not sure if we're actually home for that or not. It's preseason. Why does it matter, right?
I think we're home for the Titans game because I think we're on the road the next 2 games. So if I'm correct, okay, so it's Niners at Saints. Yeah, that's our second game. So I think it's Titans. I think we get the Titans at home. And then the next 2 games. And then the Raider game. So we go to the Saints, and I don't think we'll win that game. I know people say, oh, it's preseason, don't matter. Not that you said that in a wrong way or anything, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter as long as you don't get hurt, right? Our what would you say? Our franchise quarterback of the future broke his finger in preseason, so it does matter. It really does matter. That probably limited his playing and everything and his future with the 49ers. So get in a preseason game and get out, stay healthy. I think that's an important thing. So the Saints, I'm not going to we don't have to worry about them. The Raiders, I love how they're having us go to Las Vegas every year now, it looks like. So that does 2 things, David. That still keeps the Battle of the Bay, which is not really a bay anymore, but it still keeps the battle alive. But if you're really that drunk and stupid, you got to drive all the way over there and you got to drive all the way back. How mad? Do you really want to go to a jail on a preseason night? It just doesn't. Yeah. So for those hardcore fans, I think it kind of takes out some of that drunkenness and some of that silliness that could happen. So our next game, hey, gets probably the game of the year. I know I'm going to have a big circle on it. How about you? The Niners are playing the Jets Monday night. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be playing?
The season opener, yes. Yes, he's going to be playing. His Achilles apparently has healed. You know, he's got a bionic leg now. So we'll just see how that works out, right? Hey, could extend his career. You never know, right?
Okay, before we get into the season, you can do it two different ways. You can predict who you think's going to go to the Super Bowl or who you want to go to the Super Bowl. And if you want, I'll start first.
This year I'm honestly going to be I'm picking us to go back, and this is a hard thing to do with the Super Bowl hangover, and I quote, you know, apparently that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a hard thing to do. And as for the AFC, I honestly think we're going to be going up against the Texans.
All right. I can see it. I think the Texans are a lot further away but I could see it. You know, if they get, lucky, they got a good coach and they got a lot of good pieces around them. So, most people are going to want me to say or expect me to say like the Chiefs or the Ravens, potentially the Bills. But I think the Bills window's starting to close. So, this is my prediction. This is my, kind of prediction and my guess, my will, my dream. I'm going to say Niners and Jets. I think the Jets haven't been to the Super Bowl in a very, very long time. I think they have a very, very good defense around them. They have a quarterback. If he stays healthy, he potentially will be the comeback player of the year and MVP player of the year. I mean, the sky is really the limit right now with the Jets. It's really funny because what do the Jets do? They fly. So they have an opportunity to fly and fly straight to the Super Bowl. But they got to get past us week 1. So let's see how aggressive Aaron Rodgers wants to come across the nation and play against us. Because he played what? 2 snaps? 2 snaps. And didn't he open last year? Was he opening on a Sunday night or a Monday night last year? But he got hurt.
Wasn't it Sunday night?
It was Sunday night. Yeah. And he got hurt. So if a healthy Aaron Rodgers is able to stay healthy through the whole season, records don't matter. It's what you do when you get to the playoffs. I think the 49ers play the Jets in the Super Bowl. That's what I'd like to see. So you're going to say the Texans and the Niners, and I'm saying the Jets and the Niners. Does anybody see a pattern there? What do the Jets have and what do the Texans have? David, will you tell us?
Former 49er defensive coordinators as head coaches?
It's like, really, they really truly did build an empire. It's like the 49ers are out here, and then you see many 49ers in Texas. You see many 49ers in Miami. You see them in, New York. You see them in Washington. So it's just in Tennessee. You see them everywhere now, folks. The Niners are truly an empire. It's just really something. All right, so who do we play next, David?
Oh, we have Minnesota at Minnesota, which we haven't won there since 1992. There's a 32-year drought, folks.
32.
32. I know a lot of people that aren't as old as that drought.
So is this year, if we was to lose, would it be a 33-year route?
It would be a 33-year drought. And who knows when we'd be able to break it, because we probably won't play them next year.
All right. So do you know who the Superman is on the 49ers? Do you know who wore number 33?
Roger Craig.
Do you know what team Roger Craig retired with?
Oh, was it Minnesota? Oh, boy.
So if the numbers have anything to do with anything, I'm going to say this could be our first loss. We didn't really get to say what we thought about with the Jets and we didn't start that out. So I'm going to say the Niners win week 1. What do you think?
I think we're winning week 1. I honestly think we're going to break the 32-year drought in Minnesota. You know, they had a lot of pieces go this offseason, and they did pick up like Aaron Jones, and they still have Justin Jefferson and Addison, the two wide receivers. But, you know, beyond that, a rookie quarterback and Sam Darnold, I don't think those guys are as good as Kirk Cousins is. So I kind of feel like they're rebuilding-ish.
So let me ask you then. Who's the quarterback? I think you might have said it. Who's the quarterback for the Vikings? They have two quarterbacks, and presumably
Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, I believe.
And we're just going to presume that Sam Darnold is the starter. We'll say maybe till week 8, right? Maybe they'll let him run the whole thing. I don't. But as far as we know, let's just assume that he's. And you know what assuming means, everybody. If you don't, then it's funny. Just Google it and take a look. So let's assume Sam is the starter. David, last year, did you think that Mr. Kirk Cousins was going to beat the 49ers? And remember, this was primetime Kirk Cousins.
Well, I did not think he was going to beat. Remember, I picked Minnesota to win that game in our prediction shows that we did after the schedule came out. And no, we lost that game.
And did we lose the game, or would you say that Kirk Cousins beat us?
I honestly look at all of our losses like we lost the game. Because, you know, there's several plays, several moments in the game where the Niners made mistakes, like a zero blitz on, you know, late in the second quarter. That's just one example, you know, and that I honestly believe like Travarius Ward, the wide receiver, I believe it was Addison, the rookie, who took the ball out of his hands. He had an interception. But then the guy took the ball out of his hands and said, nope. You know, moments like that, you can't make mistakes, right? You can't make mistakes against NFL teams on the road at their house and expect to be winning, right?
Yeah,
just like the Cleveland game. You can't play like that and expect to win. You just can't.
I think a lot of things stemmed from the Cleveland game because of the injuries that happened in the Cleveland game. And I think you can even go prior to that. It really was what happened in the Rams game because we let Puka Nacua get open, and a lot of teams started just seeing that's how you can play against the Niners. You can attack them right there. And we were having a hard time tackling. Our corners were having a hard time tackling. You could say it was corners or linebackers or the free safeties, but we were having a hard time. Maybe it was because Hufunga was out and he was not doing the cleanup, but we were having a hard time finishing. We were, you know, like having those torpedo tackles, and it just kept stemming. And we got past the Cowboys and we got past the Giants. Well, the Giants, and then the Giants was week 3, and then the Cowboys was week 5. And then we go and play the Browns, I believe it was. And we, you know, I think Debo got hurt right away. And right after that, you know, the whole team just kind of just fell apart. But when we get to Minnesota, I believe CMC fumbled. And it's weird. You fumble in a dome and then you go put gloves on. So if we would have scored to begin with CMC, you know, who knows, right? And at that time, everybody was saying, oh, well, CMC is being overused. You know, he's being overused. Well, you know, no, he's not being overused. He just made a mistake, and you try to give the ball to your best player almost all the time anyways. Why were they doing that? Why were they giving CMC the ball the whole time? Because Debo was hurt. All these other people were hurt. So you go back and you just say, okay. And you chop it up to like, okay. So the offense from the gate fumbled. Then you did have a good defensive, you know, stand against the Vikings. We did have that interception and stuff. But then their offense, they came to play too. They thought they could compete against us. And why? Because they go back to the Rams game and they seen how the Rams played against the 49ers. If you look at that touchdown at the end with the zero blitz and stuff, and you know, our wide receiver, our corner, and their wide receiver kind of like fought for the ball right there. Well, he just wanted it more and he took it to the house. But it was because, again, they probably seen the tape of how they played against us against the Rams. And they said, this is how, because The wide receivers were just, what was it? Cuts, slants, and in. That's it. That's what Puka Nacua was doing to us. So, um, I think honestly, if the Niners go in there and they really are thinking about last year, they're going to lose. If they think about it just as another game and they go in there and just try to take care of business, then they're going to win. I think if they go in there and underestimate Sam Darnold, they're going to lose. I know a lot of people don't like Sam Darnold and all this. He sees ghosts and stuff. But David, do you remember how Sam Darnold played against us when he was a Jet?
I honestly believe he played pretty well, but didn't we still win that game?
I think we won the game. I think we won the game by a touchdown. And I don't think he played bad or bad enough to lose the game for the Jets either. I just think it's really weird with the whole Sam Darnold thing. Niners wanted to get him. They wanted to get him before they wanted to get Watson. They wanted to get him before they got Trey Lance and Justin Fields and all these people. And now he was on our team for a short period of time, and we've let him go. And it's really weird that he's went to another team, and we signed him for what, $2 million, David? $2 million last year.
I think we signed him for like around $6 million to be our backup last year. Well, that's with incentives and everything.
Okay.
And he signed a $10 million contract to go be maybe a 1-year bridge guy for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I read it was like guaranteed 8.23 mil or something like that for him. But to give, and if I'm correct, I could be wrong, but and then David could be wrong. We could both be right. I believe it was like 2 million we give Sam last year, 2 or 3 million guaranteed to be our, and that was what was really weird. Why are you going to give this guy this money if you got Trey Lance on the team? Why are you gonna? So it's like, because he's going to be the backup. Okay. All right, so Minnesota is definitely going to be a hot mess, and I think if the Niners go in there, we definitely have a chance to lose. I think we could, but so if I have to tell you my prediction right now, we're losing against the Vikings. I think overall the Niners are going 15-2. I think we're losing against the Vikings and we're losing against the Rams. So let's go ahead and go to our next game, David. Is the next game? Let's see. Is it the Rams? Oh, it's the Rams. Now this one is in SoCal. I don't think we're going to lose in Los Angeles or Inglewood or Levi South. I think we're losing in Santa Clara. So I say we lose week 2, and then we don't lose for a long time. How do you feel about the Rams?
I actually feel pretty good about this game that we're going to lose it. The Rams, they play us hard. It's kind of like the Cardinals play us hard too. They just have bad luck. But the Rams, they play us incredibly hard. They did last year, both games. And we ended up winning the first game by, 7 points? It was 1 touchdown. We ended up winning that first game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second game, we ended up losing by 1 point. And that was backups versus backups. Yeah, the game did not matter. I'll admit that right now. But they play us hard, and we're going to their house. And I honestly think they're sick of, us owning their house. They might as well have a San Francisco flag flying outside of that stadium, considering how many fans show up. Right. So I totally see us losing that game.
Oh boy. So the Rams are the team that I don't think we should sleep on. I know the Seahawks are still a really, everybody keeps saying they're rebuilding, and every year you kind of have to just keep your eyes on the Seahawks because they are one of those teams that can be sneaky 8-9 or 9-8, and just got to get into the playoffs. But we're talking about the Rams, and the Rams have done a couple of things that's made me question what the heck are they doing. They don't have their big boy anymore, right? Their big lineman. What was his name? Donald, Sam Donald, right? And now they got a good quarterback. They got a really good quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. And what they do, they paired him up with another quarterback who's not only been to the Super Bowl, but won it multiple times on the bench. Is Jimmy G the missing piece?
I don't think so. He's actually going to be missing the first 2 games of the season because of failing a PED test, which, that's interesting enough as it is. But
We're talking
I
week 3.
honestly think, huh?
We're talking week 3 now. He could be on the
Yeah,
bench
week
there.
3 he's back. Yeah, week 3 he's back. But I don't think he's going to be seeing the field. With Matthew Stafford there, I don't think he's going to be seeing the field.
So you know what they say about Matthew Stafford? They say a hydrocortisone shot will keep the doctor away. How's his elbow?
We didn't hear anything about it last year, so they must have kept it pumped full.
Yeah. So I think Matthew Stafford's an incredibly talented quarterback. He's got a one heck of an ego. He is a gamer. That's the type of player that you need. You need that guy. I'll never forget it, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it, because I sometimes I'm that guy. I will never forget the Super Bowl parade where he's seen the lady fall off the stage and turned around, turned his back to the fan, and walked away. So maybe karma. I don't know what that lady's name was. Maybe it was Becky. Maybe she had a sister. I don't know. But David, that was wrong. And I don't think the Rams, that was a good look at all. But besides that, Stafford is a good quarterback. He's played through injuries. He's really tough. I used to say he's a blue collar guy, and I guess I could still say that because he's still wearing blue collar. Well, the Rams got a little bit of a yellow color though. But anyways, I just think that if he's healthy, he's going to make some noise in that stadium and definitely against the Niners. He's a passer, and right now, again, if he plays like he played against us last year with Puka Nacua, he's going to have him open in the middle all day. And with our linebacker coming back from injury, it could be a very long day for Fred Warner. That's what I'm thinking. So if he does get hit, which I do foresee happening, I do foresee a injury happening to Stafford sometime this season. I do see Jimmy Garoppolo coming in, but not until later in the season. So, all right. So I have us winning the Rams. You have us winning the Rams. How do you feel about who's our next team? America's team, right? The Patriots. How do you feel about the Patriots?
They're in a full rebuild mode with a rookie quarterback and a new head coach. So a whole bunch of question marks going on there. I think we'll win this by multiple touchdowns.
So Sentinel says, oh my gosh, I thought that was his wife that fell off the stage. No, his wife was actually the one who stood there and tried to get help for the fan. Yeah. A fan fell off the stage. His wife seen it. She tried to help. He turned around like, oh, I didn't see anything. Like he was being funny or something. Like he knew the camera was on him or something. Like at that moment, you're like, you're supposed to be the hero, right? But you didn't care. The person could have broke their leg, or they fell off the stage, David. Do you recall what I'm talking about? If not, I'll send you the link later so you can see the video. But that's not something that you do as a human being. Just like, oh, it's okay. Like, no, you stop what you got. You just won the Super Bowl, man. What else do you need? Like what now? You can't help. I'm sorry. You can't turn your back on someone when they get hurt. I know it's funny when somebody falls. It's human spirit. It's evil in a sense. Like you see a little kid running across and he falls. Sometimes it's funny, right? You don't want to die on the floor, laughing and stuff like that. But sometimes when you see people trip and fall, it is funny. That's why they had America's Home Videos. They had that for a long time. People doing something, but you got to remember, there's people, and if it happens to you, it could hurt. And you still want somebody to feel and be considerate and thoughtful of you. And lady fell straight off the stage and he turned his back and walked away. It was a horrible, horrible moment. Yeah. And Don, Jimmy went to the Rams. That's why I'm trying not to be too obscene up here, but I think Jimmy went down there and he's going to tell him a lot of his secrets. I'm sure all these teams and stuff like that, but no, he's going to be able to give him a little bit more in-depth, detail.
Hold on. What's he going to teach Matthew Stafford? How to throw to a linebacker?
He's going to tell him where the linebacker likes to stand at because he knows. During this play, usually when they're, in a 3-4, it's third and long. Fred Warner likes to stand with his foot in front of him and his other one just off to the side, just a hair off the hash mark right there. So Matt, if you're watching, you could throw the ball right there to him. He'll be wide open. So yes, there's going to be a lot of insight that Jimmy can teach. I'm sure he's going to also be able to teach him how to hold the tablet on the side, without breaking it, because I know he had to do that a lot for Tom Brady. There was a lot of tablets that was broken in New England. So let's get back to New England, David. How you feeling about the New England Patriots? They're rebuilding.
We're winning this game. They're rebuilding. Yep.
Well, this is a game that they have to come out to Santa Clara, to the Niner Stadium. So I think it's a win. It's gonna be a win. It could be one of those games that, oh my God, you guys lost to the Patriots. Do not have me and David come back next season, this upcoming season, in what, October? September? Oh yeah. Don't do it. We'll be back, 49ers and the faithful. We'll be back and we won't be happy. Don't make us not happy. David, we got to go to we get 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row. The Cardinals get to come play us after the Patriots. So is Kyler going to put his video game controller down? Is he going to commit to the team this year, or is he still looking to, because the Oakland A's are moving, do you think he's still trying to move with them? What do you think?
Well, I heard that the Cardinals put their playbook on, the Xbox, so Kyler Murray will be 100% familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm making jokes,
Oh, it's sad, though,
but
right? It is sad, and it's funny because it's like these people's social medias, everything that happens, everything that they do during the day, it's like we know about it. So we know you're playing the video game all the time. We know you're playing Call of Duty all the time. So let's call you out, Kyler. We're calling you out, man. What's wrong with Madden? Why can't you play the football game? I mean, like, why are you running around shooting somebody all the time? I mean, you're an athlete, right? You're not I don't know, David. I just don't get sometimes, like, video games. You already know my experience with video games. I play them too long and get a headache, right? So, Kyler, if you're committed and you're not at the Call of Duty and you're hearing the call, well, the Cardinals need a quarterback. You might not be the one for them, but you might be able to step up. They might not be able to see you when you step up, but you still can be that guy. He's super quick, David. If we can't catch him, the guy will be in the end zone. Nobody will know about it. So let's get into it. Are the Cardinals going to make any noise? Are they going to be a second place team, third place team, fourth place team in the NFC West? Or where do you see them overall?
No, and that's the tough thing to predict, because how many draft picks and how many rookies they have. You don't know what a rookie's going to do, right? The scouts can say the best things about the guy and he could end up just falling flat, right? So it's a hard thing. The Cardinals are one of the hardest teams. They are probably the hardest team in our division to predict.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to play us hard. We're going to win this game. And I could see the Cardinals in fourth place because of the fact that they're currently developing a ton of players, right?
So you know what I just kind of thought? You're thinking about the divisions and like the turmoil, the turnover and everything, and why? Why has it been like hard for the Niners? Because we kept changing coaches there for a while, right? When we had Harbaugh, we were doing good, right? Because we had a team finally built and we had one coach there for a minute, right? And then what happened? We got Chip Kelly and Jimmy T, and we started having turnover. And the Seahawks had Pete Carroll. He was still the same Pete Carroll. The Rams, they have the same coach, McVay down there. He's still there. But the Cardinals keep changing their coaches. So now with the Cardinals, they're keeping their coach this year, right? They're going to keep their pretty sure they aren't starting with a new coach this year. It's going to be interesting to see if they can take that step over Seattle. Is Seattle going to be falling behind a little bit? Because like you said, you can't predict what rookies are going to do, and you can't keep calling out, or the Cardinals aren't always the last place team in the division either. When we've had it really rough, we are either owning the Rams or owning the Seahawks. We couldn't get past the Cardinals. So I don't like playing against the Cardinals. They're not my most hated team. I just don't like playing against the Cardinals. When we play against them, somebody like George Kittle usually gets hit and tears up his knee for a while, and then we hear about it later on. He had that big fumble. They get out on us quick. Kurt Warner went over there. Carson Palmer went over there. They get out on us pretty quick. And when the Cardinals are when everything's going right for the Cardinals, it's hard for the Niners. It's really hard for the Niners because I think what the Cardinals do is they don't plan to play other teams. You know, they don't draft to play the Rams. They don't draft to play the Cardinals. They draft to beat the 49ers, if that makes sense. And I think right now the Niners are trying, like for a long time, the Niners are trying to be better than the Rams. They're trying to be better than the the Seahawks, right? Beast mode. And, we had Julian Peterson. We had to go and, draft so we could stop Marshawn Lynch and Sean Alexander and, who is the other guy that went to the Rams running back? Steven Alexander. So we've always been trying to stop the Rams and the Seahawks, and we always just we don't look at the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are always watching us, and that's why I don't know. I think we'll beat the Cardinals this game. How do you feel again? You're pretty confident against the Cardinals?
Oh yes, yeah. They're pesky. They'll play us hard, but we're still going to win this game.
So now we're going into October. Well, we are just our first week was October 6th with the Cardinals. We're going to go quickly to October 10th. It's going to be fun. We're going to Seattle, and this is a 5:15 game. So I think is this a Thursday night game? I'd have to look on the calendar, but it's 49ers against the Seahawks in Seattle. How do you feel, David?
I think we're going to win this game because, we own Geno Smith.
But if Geno's not playing, do you still feel confident that we're going to win? If it's Drew Lock.
Against the Seattle?
Yeah. If Drew Lock comes out there, do you think he's going to lock us down? You think he's going to unlock the
No.
See,
Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is the guy who owned us from 2012 until a couple years ago. So at this point, it's time for some payback.
Would you be mad if Russell Wilson came to the 49ers?
I wouldn't be, because I don't think he could beat out Brock Purdy. Okay. He'd be a good backup quarterback.
I don't think he'd beat out Brock either, because I think like what everybody else has said is he's not a system quarterback. He's his own quarterback. Like he plays outside your system. Like your plays aren't working. Let me stand back there and run around a little bit, and then I'm going to find somebody open. So I think with that, I think he would he'd be almost the ultimate backup for any team. If that team, knew when he comes in, the playbook's out the window. But I agree. All right.
Sentinel says, no, Pete Carroll is not the coach of the Seahawks. I do not know the guy's name who's the coach of the Seahawks.
Yeah, we were asking about the Cardinals. So if you know the name of the Cardinals head coach, is he the returning head coach from last year's team? That's what I'm unclear of right now.
Yes, he is. He's the Philadelphia Eagles former defensive coordinator.
And he's returning so this is his second year.
Yes. Yep.
So that's
second year. But yeah, Pete Carroll is not. He's still with the Seahawks in an advisory role, but he's not their coach anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out for Pete up there anymore either. We'll see how he works out. But okay, so that's again back to my point is the Seahawks going to take a step back because now they have a new new head coach, and the Cardinals now have continuity. They have the same. When you keep on changing who the leader is in the clubhouse, who do you know and how long do you listen to the new guy? Right? We're going to listen to you today.
That's true. That is so true.
How long are we listening to you today? That's what it gets to. So I had slipped on my finger on my scheduling. Here it is. Going back to the scheduling, was Googling something at the same time I was talking. So let's go back. So I just gotta have to go up here. I apologize, folks. Too many windows open. There it goes.
Arizona, and then
We go Arizona, and then that was last year's. It shows Cowboys. Okay, here we go. Jets, Vikings, Rams, Patriots, Cardinals. Folks, drum roll. Seahawks, our new anticipated game of the year. It seems like they want to make us play this game.
It's a Thursday night game, but we win.
Really? You think we beat the Chiefs?
And you're talking the Chiefs now?
The Chiefs?
No.
The anticipated game of the year.
No, this is my second loss of the season, buddy.
Okay.
And I honestly would like to see us win this game, but I think Kyle Shanahan might need another smack in the face from Andy Reid.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. It's like Andy Reid is what? He's the old former Kyle Shanahan, right? And why? Because he was on the Eagles. He kept getting to the championship game. He even got to the Super Bowl. He had Terrell Owens running out there with a broken leg. Couldn't get it done, right? Yeah, Donovan McNabb. Everybody thought Donovan McNabb at the time was a good quarterback. But then when you let Donovan McNabb go, then they're like, oh, that's the reason that he couldn't get it done, right? Why? Because you had Michael Vick come in, and Andy Reid and Michael Vick had a really, really great season, right? And then what? You didn't get it done with Michael Vick either. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have like the most talented player in the season, in the league. It's the timing. It's what happens. It's like right place, right time. So I don't think even they knew anything about Mahomes when they drafted him. They just drafted Mahomes and thought, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I don't think anybody's going to tell you the truth on who wanted to draft him or who didn't want to draft him. I just think it's going to be like, the Chiefs drafted him, right? Like that was the greatest decision the Chiefs ever made. And this is how Andy Reid's legacy is going to, forever be remembered is he got Mahomes. Well, the only way you can change it is if Mahomes goes out there and something happens and he gets hurt, right? We've seen it happen before and Mahomes will trot back out there and play. So he didn't get hurt bad enough, right? Well, we did see him get hurt. We've seen him play in a Super Bowl hurt. We've also seen him play through a season hurt and play relatively good because the way they set their team up. They also have a lot of help with the refs right now. I don't know why. And they got a lot of help. And then they got Taylor Swift factor. So, David, I would have to say this on paper looks like a loss. I'm going to say it's a win. The reason I'm saying it's a win is our guy from the start of the show. If you folks want to go back and listen to me talking about the number one jersey selling kicker in America, Harrison Butker, he is going to be the one. He's going to shank it, folks. They're going to be down there. They're going to need to get a point. They're going to need 1 point. He's going to be kicking 56 yards out or something, or 40 something out, because he's got the Super Bowl winning record right now. He took it from Jake Moody. So he's going to get up there and, I've done this before, and boom, it's going to go out of bounds. The Niners are going to win the game. That's going to be it. But the Niners will get no credit for this game because it'll be a missed kick from a kicker. So they won't be like, the Niners really beat them. They destroyed them. They dominated them. They got the monkey off the bat. There will be no credit given to the Niners, but we will get the W. That's my thoughts, David.
Well, shout out to the swirling winds in Santa Clara. Their kicker has no idea what's coming.
Shout out to Tommy Huxley. Thanks for coming through. Sorry I missed you last week. We got caught up with family and just got out of hand. Wanted to go and see Tommy, but couldn't make it. And I apologize. So we are now going to play the Cowboys. And they put a star on those Cowboys. They didn't give them a gold star. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but they call them America's team. And they kind of started that on their own. I think it's funny because of that, we got to watch them on Thanksgiving every year. David, the Cowboys come back to the 49ers. And I think this is a little weird. Why do you keep coming out to Santa Clara?
Well, like you said, they don't have the gold star. The star's blue because that's how their fans are going to be feeling after this game, and they lose. But I don't know why they keep coming back to Santa Clara. It's Maybe they just like making the trip.
So Jerry Jones wanted the Niners. He wanted the Niners this year at the beginning of the season. And I thought he was going to get it. I thought the Niners were going to be playing Cowboys. Sunday Night Football. Week 1. Didn't happen. I'm okay with that. But again, why do you keep on, I know they don't have a real say on how the season starts or is created, but they do. They do have an influence. And for the Cowboys now to come back out to Santa Clara, which is fine. But this is just it's a nighttime game. So I think there's a lot of that. The Niners be out here, West Coast, you're gonna have the lights in the stadium. It's a 5:00 game. If this game was in Dallas, it would be a nighttime game, but it's gonna be in a dome. You're not gonna see nothing, right? I think it means more to the 49er fans to beat the Cowboys in their stadium than it does to see the Niners go to the Cowboy Stadium and play there. And I think if the Niners was to lose in Dallas, I don't think the Dallas Cowboy fans want that. I think the Dallas Cowboy fans want the Niners to lose in their own stadium. So if that makes sense, if the Cowboys can come and win this game in the Niners Stadium, that makes not the playoff games go away because we beat them twice, right? 2 years in a row in their stadium, or was it 1 year in our stadium, 1 year in their stadium? I get confused sometimes. But I remember that Jimmy G Super Bowl, that was in their stadium, and I thought the next year with Brock Purdy, I thought that was in their stadium again too. So I think it's both years that we played in Dallas. So again, if they could come out here and they could beat us in a regular season game under the lights, West Coast sky, I think that would that'd make a lot of Cowboys fans happy. They might not break their television that night, or maybe they would break their television because they're so happy. It's just like something happens when the Niners play the Cowboys. There's a lot of televisions broke. David, are you taking Cowboys or are you taking the Niners? And would you sleep on Dak?
I'm taking the Niners. Dak Prescott, seems to get nervous against us and makes a couple of mistakes, and that's going to cost them the game.
Dak is a good quarterback, and I don't know what happens. I don't know if he's got ADHD or he's bipolar or something like that, but you get two different Daks sometimes. You'll get a Dak that's like, wow, you can't beat this guy, everything he's doing. I mean, like, did you see the way he tied his shoes out there? And then you got the game where you're like, dude, don't put your helmet back on. Don't put your helmet back on. But, some people are really talented. And, even like look at Brett Favre. He throws interceptions. And then, when he throws touchdowns, you're like, yep, that's why he's our quarterback, right? So, all right, we got the 49ers now going to Tampa Bay. They're going to Florida. And this is I don't know. I don't think this is going to be fun. Looking at it, looks like we play Cowboys at nighttime, and then we're going to go and we're going to play the Buccaneers.
This is after the bye week.
It's after the bye week. Okay.
After the bye week, we're heading back down to Florida, not to Jacksonville, but to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. And see, Jacksonville is the worst flight. So this would be okay. Go to Tampa Bay. Now, last year, a lot of people didn't believe in Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to say I was his biggest fan, but I like to say he's not as bad as people think. I heard that he got to move into Tampa Bay Stadium this year. So I think that's going to take a lot of stress off his plate and stuff and, the commute. So watch out for the commercials, folks. They're going to be coming. But I think the Niners can go down there and beat the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are a really good team. And as long as the Niners can play their defense, if we can, it's almost like you can trick Baker, then you can get an advantage on him, right? And then you can just keep the points ahead of him, and he can't catch up. He can put points on the board, but he can't catch up. But this is another game. It's like kind of like Dak Prescott moment, right? This is Baker Mayfield. How many times has he lost to the 49ers? Bosa, right? Hey, Baker, right? It's been a couple years now. He can't beat the Niners. So, this is his monkey off his back. Even though he's not with the Browns anymore, number 97 is still on the 49ers. And, he's going to be saying stuff across the line. So I think this is one of those big boy games for Baker Mayfield. So I would expect them them to throw everything at us, even that pirate ship, everything. They're going to shoot cannonballs, everything that they can. David, this is the Niners against the Buccaneers in Florida, and I think you said it's a win. How do you feel?
I think we're going to win this game because it's after the bye week. And look what happened last time we went to Florida after a bye week, right? The Jags were never the same. So I think this is the game that, we smack down the Buccaneers, and Atlanta's more than likely going to end up with that division.
Wow. No love for the Saints, huh? Carolina not coming in there either?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Bryce Young might have something to say about that, but all right. And Carr, he's going to play until the wheels fall off. All right. So we leave Buffalo, not Buffalo. We leave Tampa Bay, and this is really weird because let's just look real quick. We had a home game, go all the way across the country to Florida. We come back for a home game. Okay, I love how the NFL traveling works. Frequent flyer miles. Everybody gets points, right? So the Seahawks now have to come down to Santa Clara to play the 49ers. And it's gonna be fun. We'll see what happens. We'll see what quarterback's playing. They play us twice a year. They'll probably want to avenge themselves from earlier in the season. I think the Niners are gonna win, but we'll see what happens. Looks like the earlier game in the season would be the game where we'd be wearing our color rush uniforms or all white uniforms. So this game is a 10 o'clock game. No, this game is a 1 o'clock game. Sorry. It's a 1:05 game. So we'll definitely be all eyes on that one. David, how do you feel about the Seahawks? Same scenario, just a different day.
Well, before I do that, we got a question in the chat. Would you like to see Trey Lance start for the Cowboys for that Cowboys game if Dak Prescott went down with an injury?
No. Dak Prescott has to beat out the second string quarterback to do that first. Cooper Rush.
No, I wish Trey Lance the best, but I really don't want to see him starting against us.
No.
At the same time, I'm not against it, but I honestly think it would be Cooper Rush, because he's currently, is he still their second string?
Yep.
So, but Trey Lance could beat him out for the second string this year, right? It could happen.
Yep. It could happen. We will have to wait to see. My opinion of Trey Lance is, it's not a good one or a bad one. If you're on the team, I'm rooting for you. If you're not on the team, I'm not going to hate you, but I don't see a third string quarterback starting against the 49ers.
But Trey's looking at $24 million in 24. Wow, or $22 million. That's a good payday for a backup quarterback. But now we're the Seahawks at San Francisco, right? At Santa Clara. That's a W, buddy. We're sweeping them. We're trying to catch up that series that they're so far ahead on,
Yeah.
And it's about time that we claim ownership. They've owned us for a long time. So it's about time we did.
It was like 30-19. And then I think it's 30-21.
We're on a 5 streak right now. 5, because that one year we played them twice in the regular seasons, beat them once in the playoffs. And then last year, that was 2022. And then last year we swept them twice. So we're on a 5 streak against them.
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, the record right now is 30-21. Well, it could be 30-22. For a long time, it was 30-19. 30-19 and 1, I think, but I'm not positive on the 1. So we have a home game, then we leave again. We're going across country. We're going to go play the Packers. This is November 24th. This is what, Turkey Day?
Is it Turkey Day? We play on Turkey Day? I don't think we play on Turkey Day.
I thought so. I read we didn't play any holidays, and then later in the season, I found a couple of days ago, I thought it said we played a holiday game. I know we don't play on Christmas, but right here it says 49ers at Packers, November 24th, 24, 1:25 p.m. So, Tony, real quick,
November 24th. That would be.
is that Thanksgiving? I would think that's Thanksgiving, but Tony with the facts, pop it up. Tony's my fact checker, folks. If you see Tony in the chat, you know where it's at. I'm not opposed to this game. The Niners, I don't feel like the Packers really have the biggest
The
advantage.
24th is a Sunday this year, buddy.
Okay. So then what?
Turkey Day would be, it's on the 28th this year.
28. Okay.
Native American Heritage Day is the 29th.
Okay.
At least that's what my calendar tells me.
I don't think the Packers Lambeau is as big of an advantage as it once was against the Niners. I think they're still going to have a home field crowd. I think they're still going to have, like everything green, but you'll see some red in there. Again, Niner fans do travel really well, but I don't think that's going to be the biggest. I don't think it's going to be the biggest thing for them anymore. The Niners, when we went in with Kaepernick, when we went and beat the Panthers, and then we went and beat Lambeau, that was all cold weather. Niners can play in cold. I know that was 10 years ago, but the Niners can play in cold weather. And this team's done it too. We had the Hufanga block just a couple years ago. The NFC, it was the NFC conference game. Niners won that game. So I'm okay. I feel okay against the Packers. I know they're going to be reeling. They want to beat us too. We kind of we broke their hearts last year, but they've done it to us too in their past. I'm going to say win. David, how do you feel about the Packers? And then how do you feel about the Bills? Because I kind of feel it's the same game.
I kind of don't feel that way because, the Bills, they're a team that, they hit the salary cap and they've had to let some guys walk, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Packers seem to be building something. And last year, they played us hard at our house in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Packers are going to win this game. This is my third loss of the season.
Okay.
And as for the Bills, I think our defensive line, with the improved depth and the acquisition of Leonard Floyd on the other side, we're going to be forcing him to make mistakes like he does when he's under pressure. And we're going to win that game.
Okay. I'm going to give you my reasoning on why I feel both games are similar. The temperatures are going to be similar. So the, cold is going to be a factor for both, games. Mm-hmm. You'll get used to it. They might get used to it from the Green Bay game going to the Bills and be like, oh yeah, it's nothing, right? I feel like the quarterback for the Bills is a better quarterback than the Packers quarterback. They both are capable, but I think he has just a little bit more. I've been here before. I know what I'm capable of. Where season for Love, Jordan Love is like, oh man, yeah, we got really close. Now I know what I got to do to be better. I'll do that next year. Where he's like, I'm young. I got time. Allen's past that. The honeymoon's over. He knows, hey, he's only got so many more seasons left. So I think he's going to be a little bit more dialed in as far as being professional or just, this is more season. And then the game being switched, a week difference. I feel like the Bills are going to be like, this is more of a game that we have to win. But the reason I feel like it's a similar game, both teams are from the cold. Both teams, when healthy, want to beat the 49ers. The Niners cannot beat the Bills in a dry state. We cannot beat the Bills in a dry state. Josh Allen runs straight through our defense. I think the Packers' emotions from last year are going to overtake them, and that's why they're not going to be able to beat us this year. I think they're going to expect that the coldness is going to slow us down. I think the Bills will think the coldness is going to slow us down. I think the Bills, like you said, a lot of things have changed with the Bills, right? Players have come and gone. Same thing with the Packers. A lot of people didn't believe the Packers last year were going to be as good as they were, but they're building something, right? Well, sometimes when you build something, you get to a point and it's like a mental roadblock, or they have to stop for a second, right? Because they lost a good piece and they didn't realize how good of that piece it was. So now they have to come to age. They have to learn really quick on the fly. So I could see that happening with the Packers, where The Bills, same situation. You've let players go because you couldn't afford to keep them. And now you have to have other players come in and they have to either play and learn on the ropes, on the road right then. And the production has to be met. You know, you have to be good now. You can't wait, right? Because if either team takes a step back because of their development, and even though the Bills had this team that's kind of like started to fall apart because they still got their quarterback. And what has having a good quarterback taught us? You got Brett Favre, he's the only player on your team. You got Tom Brady, he's the only player on your team. You got Peyton Manning, he's the only player on your team. You got enough with that one player right there to get it done. So I see Allen and I see Jordan Love both being really good quarterbacks. But we'll see what happens. I don't see either of us losing either game. Just for the not the homerism in me or anything like that. I just see if the Niners are right now favored to win all of their games, what's going to change from here till then? It would have to be a injury. I also think Josh Allen, if he got the right playbook in front of him, I think he could be really, really. I don't know what he keeps getting to the championship game. Oh, I know what happens. He has to play against the Chiefs. That's right. So maybe if he was on our team as our quarterback, but he'd have to play against the Chiefs again. So we'll see what happens there. David, we go next to the Bears, and the Niners finally get a home game. So they go on the road for 2 weeks, and then they get a home game. The Bears have to come to the 49ers. I don't like it when the Bears come to the Niners Stadium. The Bears beat us our first game in Santa Clara, and I'm not over it yet. So every time they have to come and play us, I'm not confident. I am not a big fan of the Bears. Every time we think we got their game, they do something to us. Everybody thought we were going to beat them. What was it? 3 years ago? 3 years ago, and that tsunami game, we should have won. But again, the Niners should win. But should we go in thinking we're overconfident? Or should we go in thinking we should win, and that's what makes us overconfident? Did you expect us to lose the Bears game 3 years ago with Trey Lance?
I don't expect us. I expect us to win the Bears game, 100%.
But
sorry about that, Brian. I just had someone pull up out front blasting music. I had to mute myself and tell them to turn it down.
You're David. David. My point with the Bears is when we expect to beat the Bears, we don't. Did you expect us to beat the Bears with Trey Lance at Soldier Field a couple years ago?
I 100% did.
So I don't like having to play the Bears. Okay, I won't ever forget the longest field goal return for a touchdown in I think it was like 106 yards, 109 yards on a windy kick, missed kick from the 49ers. But the Bears, they come in to play us in Santa Clara. And I don't know if you remember or not, but they beat us the first game at Santa Clara. So I'm not a big fan of the Bears. And if we have to play them, I'd rather play them in Chicago. But we got to play them at Santa Clara. So you expect you still feel good about the Bears. This December 8th. It's a 125 game. We're coming off of the Packers and the Bills.
I still feel good about it. They have a rookie quarterback. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Caleb Williams is the next thing." Well, a lot of those folks, thought that Jamarcus Russell was the next thing too. So again, you don't know what you're getting with a rookie until they played for a couple years, right?
Oh boy, you never know it's a rookie. You don't know because look at the Texans quarterback. This is a rookie. You look at the Indianapolis Colts. They had a rookie quarterback. And he was looking really good until he got hurt. So it's just hard. It's hard to it's hard. So okay, let's go to the next game. My phone keeps timing out on me and going back. I got to figure that setting out. David, we're going to play the Rams. This is my loss. This is my loss.
Ooh, hold on. This is at Santa Clara, though. I had us losing to them earlier in the season at, Levi's Inglewood, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, I have us winning this game because we're on a roll, baby. It's like, yeah, we just lost to the Packers. Still haven't got that punch in the face before the playoffs, though. That's kind of some foreshadowing on my schedule anyway.
Yeah. I like how you use that term too, because you know who would be probably the worst, maybe the best person to punch us in the face? Jimmy Garoppolo. That Italian stallion, he's going to be playing. You know he's going to be playing. And this is December 12th. This is the end of the season, folks. So if the Rams aren't vying for a playoff spot, Stafford's hurting out there. He may retire. He might cut it up. He might just stay. Why am I even out here, right? You got Jimmy GQ over there on the bench. He's won 2 Super Bowls as backup, right? He's more than capable. He's been to the Super Bowl. He knows the 49ers. We don't have to win this game. Put in Jimmy. Let's see what he's got, right? So Jimmy G, let's see what you got. Goes out there and slugs us in the face. Did anybody think that Carson Wentz was going to beat us last year?
No. No.
So the thing about Carson Wentz and the thing about Jimmy G, they both have Super Bowl rings from the bench. So now Carson Wentz is in Kansas City and Jimmy is now in LA. So let's see. I said it earlier. Is he the missing piece? Maybe. Jimmy does really good for his teams when he's the backup quarterback. He does really good. He wins Super Bowls for him when he's their backup. So if the Rams aren't in a position to win, and they don't have a good record or they're not vying for a playoff spot, and there's an injury to Stafford, I very well see Jimmy G coming in and beating the 49ers. It would be that irony. It would be that, it would be the worst feeling I think the 49ers would feel, because that's the guy that we blame the most for losing the Super Bowl, right? Like, everybody blames Jimmy Garoppolo for losing the 2019 Super Bowl, right?
I don't. I kind of feel Kyle should shoulder the blame for putting it on James Richard Garoppolo to start throwing the ball around in the second half instead of just running it down their throats. But that's my opinion.
Do you blame Kyle Shanahan for having Jimmy play, and do you blame Kyle Shanahan for seeing Jimmy close his eyes on the field? Do you blame Kyle Shanahan for Jimmy Garoppolo having the delay of game? There's certain things. It's like at a certain point, you're the quarterback on the team. You can make an adjustment. You have to call what the coach has anybody else out there. We've seen it before this year with Debo. Debo was hurt. He thought Debo was on the field. He calls a play. Juwan Jennings, you need to be Debo. You're not. We get it. But that was an accident, right? But the coach still believed in his team to run that play. He still believed in his guy to run that play. So it's like, okay, you got Jimmy G out there. Dude, I need you to keep your eyes open. Oh no, let me close my eyes when I throw it to Kittle. Okay. So at a certain point, it's like not one person necessarily deserves the blame, but
no,
you definitely overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. Do you know if you would have got it a little bit closer to him, that probably would have been a PI. Probably would have had the ball right there. And then you could have given it to somebody else, and then they could have ran it in. Sure, we could have had Mostert run the ball. We could have had Debo run the ball. But at that moment...
Hold on. We're not into could-haves. None of that happened, right? So we lost the game. It was very unfortunate. And mainly it's the head coach that takes the blame for these type of things. Yeah, a player does make mistakes. Players are human. They're not perfect, right? And, on that play, he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders actually eased up a little bit on his running. So, it was literally both their faults. It wasn't just James, right? James closing his eyes. Yeah, that's 100% his fault. You got to keep your eyes open when you're throwing the ball, folks. You got to see where you're throwing it. There is no look pass in football, you know. Well, okay, I can't say that. We've seen Mahomes do it once or twice, right?
Like, if we look at it and we just go back, do you blame Kyle Shanahan for having Jimmy Garoppolo scramble against the Kansas City Chiefs? I think it was week 3, 2018, and he cut inside the field instead of going outside to the sideline. Do you blame
And
Kyle
blew out his
Shanahan?
ACL.
Yeah, you got to blame the player. And at a certain point, the play is called. The player makes a decision to keep the ball, run the ball, throw the ball, kick the ball, whatever he's going to do, right? Lateral the ball to somebody else. But at that moment, after the play's been called on the field and it's been implemented, anything happens, you can't blame a player for getting hurt. You can't blame the coach for, like, do you blame Brock Purdy's injury on Kyle Shanahan? The NFC Championship game.
Well, who designed the play call and the when it comes down to it, the personnel on the field? Who put that tight end out there to block Reddick? You know,
but if it would have worked,
if it would have worked, it would have been better. If it was Warner instead of Croft, Reddick ain't running through Warner.
But even if he did, even if all the players that we would have wanted him to have out there on the field in the same situation happened, Brock Purdy got hurt, would you blame Kyle Shanahan? You got to have your playmakers out there. Your playmakers have to make the decision. They have to play. Sometimes better players, they make a move. They make an adjustment. But to say, oh, well, we didn't do it because, if he would have had 1 second, just 1 second or half a second, Ayuk would have came open and boom, that would have been gone. Or maybe if Brock Purdy would have stepped up, like Kyle Shanahan said, if he would have stepped up, Reddick would have ran past him. He would have missed his arm. At what point? I mean, I know we're taking blame and we're putting it over here. It's not on this guy's fault. It's not on this guy's fault. But at a certain point, you're the one who ran into the car, right? You're the one who was the driver. You were the one, right? Like we see multiple players, like when they feel they're going to get a sack, they drop down and they move or they wiggle, right? And they live to fight the next day.
So are we saying? Are we saying our head coach is not at fault for anything? Is that what?
No, he's not. He's not at fault of anything. He just calls the plays, And if the play doesn't work out, right? He's just a guy, David. Kyle Shanahan is just a guy. It's not his fault. He just makes the play call, and then if it works out, it works out, right? So I don't know, David. I think we're both on the same page. I think we're both.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, it's never one person's fault, right? No. It never is, and ultimately the blame is shouldered by the head coach because he's the boss, right?
Yep.
He's the boss, and his employee did something wrong.
Yep.
And I don't know how, that's how the world works anyway. And it's just, who do you blame, right? You have a whole game and there's a whole bunch of different plays that if gone different would change the outcome of the game. You can't just point at one thing, right?
That's exactly right.
So like in that Eagles game, Brock Purdy got hurt. Okay. Let's throw a challenge flag at that Devontae Smith catch that wasn't actually a catch. Let's throw a challenge flag. Let's get the ball. Let's get the ball on that fourth down. Let's change the whole dynamic of the game right then and there.
Yep.
Then that play doesn't happen, right?
Yep. Because if you would challenge it, then we would have had the ball at the 50 or in midfield, and maybe that play happens right then, but it wouldn't have happened later after the touchdown. We wouldn't have been down points. So
my point is, it's never just one person's fault. There's always multiple things that happen over the course of the game, and our team has to be better than that. I do see Kyle like overthink things, and it's almost like, well, how did I put that?
Okay, do you agree with this right here? I don't want to attack anybody, so forgive me if you feel like you're being attacked. Yes, I do. Kyle schemes around the offensive line Weaknesses. He had Tyler Croft blocking Hassan Riddick. Kyle doesn't know the difference between what works on paper and works in the game. So the guy who's being paid millions of dollars, who's been a child of a head coach in the NFL, not only a head coach of the NFL, but a coach for college teams. He's been in football his entire life. Doesn't know the difference.
His dad won Super Bowls, Bryant.
Doesn't know. You're telling me somebody who played college football as a wide receiver doesn't know, who was a water boy for the NFL, multiple teams, doesn't know, been on multiple head coaching teams, who's been to the Super Bowl, because he was on Tampa Bay Super Bowl team too, back in 2002. You're going to tell me he doesn't know the difference between what's on paper and no, I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. People don't have to necessarily like Kyle Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan knows a lot more and a lot more than what people are giving him credit for. And because maybe he believed in Tyler Croft, maybe Tyler Croft didn't make the best play right there, but it's not because he doesn't know what's the difference between paper and pen. If you go to the Super Bowl, our Super Bowl blunder on the offensive line, the one at the end of the game where we shouldn't have thrown it to Jennings, right? We should have thrown it to Ayuk, but we threw it to Jennings because our offensive line forgot what to do. Whose fault is that? That's Kyle's fault because they forgot what to do in the most critical moment in their life. People are humans, and they have breakdowns.
I just remembered the way I phrased this. So Kyle tries to outsmart himself a lot, folks. He's a smart guy. And sometimes you just got to dumb it down and not outsmart himself. You know, you got to, the football team that's on the field can literally outplay any team in the NFL. And he needs to remember that. You know, he needs to remember he's got this good football team on the field. He does not have to outsmart himself. We can out physical the other team, right? We can. We've proven that.
We can out physical a team. We can out physical. We can out pound them. We can outrun them.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot dominate in the passing game. And that's what we are trying to morph our team into. That's why we went to Trey Lance with the big arm. That's why we went to the Trey Sermon. That's why we started making all these adjustments. And then our quarterback didn't work out, right? Why? Because Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have the big arm in the Super Bowl and missed our wide receiver. He overthrew the wide receiver. So we wanted a quarterback with more quarterback arm ability, right? Because remember, Jimmy could make all those moves and all those throws before he got hurt in 2018. But we go after Trey Lance. We try to get that quarterback that, Mahomes, that quarterback that Watson, everybody's like, hey, we need a different quarterback out there. He's more mobile. We need him to be a little bit more elusive so he can he can take the game on his own, right? Well, that didn't work out. And we keep on trying to move our team to a passing team. And David, as long as you and me have been streaming together, you can tell I know what I'm going to say is true. I like 10 to 15 minute drives. I like them running the ball 10 to 14 plays a game in one quarter. I like them eating up the whole clock. If they don't throw the ball
wearing the defense out, Bryant, and wearing the defense out, right?
And our defense is only on the field 3 or 4 plays, in a quarter. I'm okay with that. But does that sound like it's going to be fun to watch? Do other people want to get behind that? No. But I want the 49ers to win. So when Jimmy Garoppolo was handing off the football that many times, and we had the football, one whole quarter of football in the second quarter, we had the ball 10 minutes. And you look at the overall sheet and the time of possession, and we've had the ball for 22 minutes, and the other team 22 minutes out of 30 minutes, folks, 8 minutes. The other team had the ball for 8 freaking minutes. But nobody was happy winning the football games like that, right? Because if the Niners didn't start off the right way and ground pound and get on top of another team, we had this fear. People say, oh, well, we can't come from behind and win. Who cares? We're never behind. We don't ever have to come from behind. Just play that football. Give Kyle Juszczyk the ball. Give, Mostert the ball. But no, our fans, our friends, right, want to go and, death threat players, families. And now we're doing it to Ayuk, the same thing. And people think this is okay. Why would you want to keep playing for the football team? Why would you even want to be out here? If your fans who are supposed to root for you get hostile because you made a bad play, David, I'm sorry, David. I just don't think this is I think the Niners are trying to evolve to appease their fans. And I think this is what's getting us out of 49er football. When the Niners play 49er football and people, I don't know, they don't like the Cabo clique, but damn it, it's the Cabo clique that's winning games for everybody. I don't know what to say.
Well, this last year we drafted offensive linemen that can actually pass block. We draft 2 wide receivers. And the NFL is a passing league. We both know that. But that's not what we do. We run the ball, control the clock, keep our defense fresh so when they hit the field, they're very effective. And that's how we win football games. Last year, it seemed like there was a different direction being headed. The defense was spending too much time on the field. That we weren't ranked as high as we were in previous years, but we still had a good defense, right? And it just seems like it seems like Kyle now has his quarterback who is accurate and effective in the offense, and he wants to throw the ball more. This seems to be the direction we're going. Is it going to work out? We don't know, because the players they drafted more than likely aren't going to get a lot of time on the field this next year. We all know Kyle does not play rookies. So this will be a 2025 thing is when we're going to find that out. But this next year, it's all about being 49er football. Control the clock 35, 40 minutes a game. Keep our defense fresh, right? And this next year, what do you think about the Super Bowl hangover for the losing team, Brian? Are we going to be hungover? Are we going to be wearing shades and, popping Tylenol to knock the headache off?
No, I don't believe in the Super Bowl hangover. I believe it's happened to certain teams because of for instances. And one thing that's really, really sad, and I don't think this is what's going to necessarily happen to our team, but it kind of already has happened to our team because of the NFC championship losses. Every time you have a significant loss, a championship loss or a Super Bowl loss, that losing team has a real big high turnover and trade. They spent this much money to get these guys together. They can't keep them together because now all these guys' feelings are hurt. They didn't win the game. This guy wants more money. This guy thinks he should get more money because he was doing more than this guy over here. But this guy the fans know about, and he's been with the team for so he's not just saying, I want money for this year. I want money for my career, regardless of why they're asking for money. You got all these guys that are trying to stick together. And usually after a loss, it's just, right? And what's happened to the Niners over these last couple of years of us getting to a Super Bowl and a loss and being able to hold these players together. And we have had some turmoil. We've seen, I'm getting back to the championship games where we've seen every year, David, we bring back so many starters, right? But then we let go so many starters. It's because we're signing these guys to 1 year, 2 year deals. So in another year from now, the Niners are going to be a little different, except for those players that they paid for those old years. Those, you pay Debo for not what he did last year, but you paid him for what he did the year before and what hopefully he can do in the upcoming years. Now, if he doesn't get hurt, would he have been better than last year? Yeah, hopefully, more than likely he would have, right? But that's a woulda, coulda, shoulda thing. It's the same thing as it just is. So you have these players, you try to keep them together. I think the Niners, because they've had that happen to them in the last years, I don't think the Super Bowl hangover is going to be as harsh or bad on the Niners, right? I think the Niners have been there before. I think the difference between 2020 and 2024 will be if the Niners can stay healthy. And 2020 had that COVID year, everybody kind of forgets about that, 2019, we went to the Super Bowl. After that, everybody gets hit with COVID, so it's I don't know. It's just really weird. Would we have repeated if we would have won the 2019 Super Bowl? Would we have been for sure to repeat the 2020? Because everybody's, you can't say that. You really can't say that. But it's really just, you know what I mean? So I don't believe in the hangover, David. I think it's just going to boil down to the Niners staying healthy.
That's exactly it. It is going to boil down to that. So anyway, back to the schedule. Where were we? We were on
Dolphins. We got 3 games left, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Dolphins. Niners go to Miami.
I have us losing this game.
Okay.
This is the punch in the face before the playoff to bring us back down to reality.
Ooh. Well, if we was to lose a game against AFC team, I don't think that would be as bad. And a punch in the face from somebody like your friend, like McDaniels, wouldn't probably hurt as bad. We go to the next. I don't think we're losing. We go to the Lions. The Lions come to the Niners Stadium. This is a December 30th game. Holly's birthday, my little girl's birthday. David, this is the game where, like, they're going to try to chew our leg off, like this is the game that they're going to try to punch
fighting at our kneecaps.
Yeah. I don't see us losing this game, but this is the game. If you were to say, Brian, what game would you be more worried about? I would say the Lions, because they're going to need that game. They're going to need that game. You have the Packers, who's going to be good. You have the Vikings. They're going to be trying to make noise, and the Bears are going to try to make noise. But right now, the 2 teams is going to be the Packers and the Lions vying for that playoff spot, unless something crazy happens again with Minnesota or Chicago. We both know they don't really have a quarterback just yet. They're not for sure who they're playing, who they're starting. I would say the Lions need this game more than the Dolphins would need this game at this time of the year. David, if we lose that game
because of the Jets, the Jets having Aaron Rodgers, the Dolphins are definitely going to be needing that game.
Yeah, the Dolphins, they got to worry about the Patriots, the Bills, and the Jets. So looking at what the Jets the Jets schedule would be compared to what the Dolphins schedule is, I think that's something we could look at later on. But I think if we lose to the Lions, that's going to be worse than losing to the Dolphins, potentially for the seeding for our playoffs. If we're not the number 1 seed, if we don't have it wrapped up right now, we can't lose to the Lions. We cannot lose to the Lions, and we're not going to want to get hurt right before the playoffs, but we can't take an L. So
no, there's no
our final game.
I honestly think we pick up where we did left off in the second half of the NFC Championship game, and we do beat the Lions.
Yeah, I really think we beat the Lions. Our last game is going to be 49ers at Cardinals in Arizona. It's to be denounced, to be determined. It's January 5th game. If we already got everything wrapped up, this could be a game just like what happened last season, where they just kind of like rest their starters a little bit. But I don't see the Niners wanting to rest. I don't see the players wanting to do that.
Well, look at how that worked out last year.
We rested, and I don't think they'll want to do it this year.
Exactly. We rested last year, and we hit the playoffs cold. So I think Kyle's going to be playing the starters for at least a half in this game, and then he'll probably limit them in the second half and play more backups. Right now, I have it slated as a W, but kind of like last year, it depends on, do we need this game or not? If we don't need this game, then I honestly think it's a loss. If we need this game, it's a W, right? So I have us 13-4. That's what I have us.
13-4. Would you quickly give everybody the 4 losses that you have? Presumed
I have the Rams
losses that you would
at LA, the Chiefs at San Francisco, the Packers at Lambeau, and the Dolphins at Miami. Those are my 4 losses.
David, thank you very much for coming on with me and doing this. We will try to keep this going as long as possible. Coffee talk cannot be taken by anyone. It's me and David's thing. You guys are always welcome to pull up with a cup and drink with us. It doesn't have to be a 49er cup either. It could be a cool Batman cup or something. But I got us going 15-2, and I would love to be wrong. I'd love to be, proven to be wrong. Like, hey, we went 18-0, or we, everything, whatever, right? But for right now, I have us going 15-2. The Niners are going to lose against the Vikings week 2, regardless of who's the quarterback. I think if it's Sam Darnold and we lose, it's going to be extremely funny. I almost want to see it happen for everybody who's talked as much as they have about Sam Darnold. It's about karma, folks. You got to be humble. You got to be, remember, we're just people. And then the next game I think we lose is the 49ers versus the Rams. And that's going to be a home game, the Niners home game. It's the last game we play against the Rams this year. And I think it very well could be a game we have to play Jimmy Garoppolo. So if that happens, one, I'm going to probably be really laughing. I'm going to laugh probably really hard before the game starts, because it's just, like, if you close your eyes and you look at, like, and you think what the worst scenario is, David, who would be the worst team to lose to in the Super Bowl? The Lions. Well, you can't lose to the Lions. They've never lost. They've never been to the Super Bowl, and you can't play them. The Browns, they've never went to the Super Bowl. So, like, we'd always have, like, oh, you guys give the Browns their first Super Bowl, right? Well, who would you want to lose?
The Chiefs would be the worst team to lose to.
Really?
Because then it would be a three-peat. And we can't let that happen, buddy. We can't let that happen.
Well, that's never happened since ever, right? There's never been a three-peat. So it's come really close, and I don't think the NFL will let that happen. Again, there's a lot of forces at home that we don't necessarily see. I don't know. I mean, losing to Aaron Rodgers, he could have never beat us in the NFC, and then he gets to the AFC and actually beats the Super Bowl against the team that he wanted to grow up play for. That could be pretty bad. But either way, you don't know until the games start happening, and we'll be around to talk about them until then, because there's a lot to talk about, a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and we really appreciate everybody for coming. It's been a long time. We haven't had a 2-hour show for a long time. We just got on and started talking, and David, always appreciate you. David, what are you doing the rest of the week?
Well, tomorrow we got Niners Coast to Coast, it's going to be on Brian's channel. And, due to his future schedule, we're not sure what's going to happen. That we'll just have to figure it out, right?
That's right.
And then, Wednesday we're back to trivia. Last week we did the schedule drop, and everyone got their schedule predictions in. This time we're back to the 500 question book, trying to finish it off before the preseason starts, right?
That's right.
And McNiner and Ted Talks Ball is also going to be on Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday, 3:20 in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time. And as for the rest of the week, I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. I might do something Friday evening with Damian Lee. So, might get something going on there.
Awesome. Well, yes, folks, just keep your notifications on. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or any of the other socials, or you have my phone number, you can always text me and ask me, what the heck's going on, man? I haven't heard from you for a while. But my notifications will be in the community as well on YouTube, letting you know when I try to go live. Schedule's just changing. It's going to be a little rough for a little while, but things will get better. And once I know what for sure my schedule will be, I'll know when I can go live and when I can schedule shows. Gotta love life. I had a Monday to Friday job on call, but still a Monday to Friday, and now I'm going to a everyday week job, and I won't know what my schedule is until my schedule is in front of me. So folks, thank you again very much. Tomorrow, Coast to Coast with Ty Austin, the great, and Mr. David McNiner, the great as well. And this guy right here, Brian Culp. So until then, we'll keep you informed with notifications through media, and we appreciate y'all. Go Niners. Remember, it's a game. Enjoy it while it's here, and hopefully you can enjoy it with your fans, friends, and family. And if you need somebody to watch it with, we're probably around somewhere. So folks, thank you so much. Bebop, I see you. Appreciate you as well. Guys, we're gonna get out of here. Let me see if I got one more. We'll close with the car show, folks. If you didn't see it, I hope you enjoy it. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Look